Hey, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to another video. Now today we're going to be working on the 2000 Acura Integra GSR. And if you guys haven't seen the previous video on this car, I'd really recommend checking it out, and I'll make sure to leave a link above. Now where we left off with this is I was showing you guys what happened to the stolen catalytic converter on this car, and it was a complete disaster. And it's to the point where you couldn't even drive the car anymore. Today what we're going to do is I'm going to show you exactly what we did to remedy this. So there's so many ways that you could go about this. I saw people in the comments mentioning how we could completely replace it with all aftermarket exhaust. We could go full OEM. But what I actually did is I kind of went around the way of going through this the Tastefully Clapped way by finding a part out car. So I got very lucky, and locally I found this guy that parts out these Integras, and I guess you can call him the Integra Whisperer, because when I pulled up to his place, he had so many parts for Acura Integras of this generation. And luckily enough, he had one off of an Acura Integra GS. So this is a little bit different than the GSR. I believe the configuration of the exhaust is very similar, but there are some differences. If anything, we would have to take this whole thing, and I don't even know if I could fit this in the car.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. I know it's rusty, it unbolts there and it unbolts there.
Yeah, I mean, to bring it down, it wouldn't be a problem, but I think just for...
Oh, this one actually still has the O2 sensor plugged in it.
Okay, so we'll cut it. Where did we say we'll cut? Right here? So after hacking it up with a Sawzall and being able to take all that stuff off, we're now taking it to a local muffler shop to be able to do all this stuff. And right behind me is all this stuff, and we're gonna go through that here in a second. And of course, in typical fashion, it's pouring rain today, and it's a mess to say the least. So that's what we have on the agenda for today. We're going to show you a quick breakdown of how we were able to fix this, and then the next steps that we also have for this car, because I'm very excited for this one, and I'm glad that you guys have been enjoying the content so far. And I know it's been a little bit of time has passed with this one, but you just have to understand that there's so many things happening in the YouTube world for us right now, along with this, along with the E36, as well as the Biohazard Honda Civic. If you guys have been enjoying the videos so far, make sure to comment down below and let me know what you think so far. But I think with that being said, we can just hop right into this one, and we'll show you the full breakdown once we get this thing up in the air. Now, before we get into the video, I did want to take a moment to talk about today's sponsor, Muzen Audio. And what I have in my hand here is the Muzen Wild Mini. And would you believe it or not, this is a mini Bluetooth speaker. And not just any old Bluetooth speaker, but I would say a very durable one that has some heft to it. I mean, when you pick this thing up, you can tell that it was made with such a high quality fit and finish on everything. It's got this rugged military look to it, but most importantly, the audio quality for the size of it is really on point. And I've had the pleasure of using this in the shop lately, and I've found myself using it more and more just because it's so portable. And once you get a lanyard with this thing, you can attach this to your backpack, bicycle, tool bag, and I mean the possibilities are really endless. And the best feature, for me at least on this one, is the fact that it actually has a flashlight on top. And this thing actually saved my life the other day because I was changing the oil and underneath the E36, and I needed a light source. And instead of me having to crawl from underneath the car and go all the way upstairs to get a regular flashlight, I actually ended up using this while listening to music at my leisure. So if you guys are interested in checking them out, I'd highly recommend it, and I'll make sure to leave a link down below if you guys want to check it out. But with that being said, I want to give a huge thanks to Muzen Audio for sponsoring today's video. This is the first time underneath this thing. It looks really good. No crazy surface rust or anything. Oh yeah, so we can use this for sure. Here's where they cut, right here. There's no flange, so I think we'll have to take the flange that we have from the header over there and be able to hook it up here. These are the wires for the oxygen sensor, so I think you just have to splice into there. And there's a gaping hole out the back. But underneath, man, it looks really good. I know we got a chance to see it once we jacked it up in the air. There's a little bit of a, took a little hit right there. Could have been just from bottoming out. No leaks on the CV boots. Nice. Since the thieves cut it in such an obscure position, this was going to serve as a challenge for us to be able to make this look and feel as OEM as possible. So our approach to this was to use a universal catalytic converter that would bolt up correctly to this car. This also came with a new oxygen sensor, which we planned to hook up and remove the original one since it was snipped off.
Oh, well, you want to look at the plugs.
They look the same.
Well, you got to make sure the slots
by the prongs, right?
Yeah.
And while Wayne was taking measurements, my friend and I went to the rear of the car and realized that the muffler was barely hanging on. Luckily, it was just the hangers that popped out and we were able to easily put those back in. I think that's a little concerning and that may make it more tough for Wayne is this has 2 walls. With a flathead screwdriver, a hammer, and some heat, we were able to pull back the original lining that was on the exhaust so that we can make room to put some new piping. Since we didn't need the entire flange from the part out car, all we wanted to do is just slice off the little part of the flange that we could weld up back to the original exhaust so that we can have the continuation to hook up the catalytic converter. And this was a perfect opportunity too to replace the exhaust manifold gasket. The trickiest part of this installation is just getting everything to align correctly with the catalytic converter. You would definitely want to make sure that this is in the correct orientation so that the oxygen sensor is pointing up. And on top of that, you need to make sure that the measurements for the piping that's also needed to be correct as well.
Wait, so Wayne, when it's double walled like that,
Yeah.
how do you go about making sure that you weld both the inside or the outside? Or do you just...
I just pounded this pipe in between the two.
Oh, cool.
And then just, presses it in to get rid of it.
Yeah, as long as it's sealed, right? That's all that really matters.
It was really fun to watch Wayne in action, and I didn't want to disturb him while he was doing the installation. After making a couple cuts and lining things up, he was able to get the piping perfect on the car. Oh, I see. So you do like a spot weld,
Yeah.
and then you'll go back in to finish it up. It was really impressive how quickly he was able to get this all mocked up, and you can tell that this wasn't his first rodeo. So how long you been working on cars, Wayne?
76.
Amazing.
Right out of high school.
Just never stopped?
No.
It's hard to stop.
There's an easier way to make money than getting greasy.
Yeah, but sometimes you just gotta do stuff for the love of it, you know?
Yeah.
Now the catalytic converter and the extra piping were officially on the car, but now we needed to focus on getting the oxygen sensor, which is actually located in the center console. So we needed to drop the car down to investigate. Amazing, I didn't even need to pull carpet or nothing.
No.
It was just hiding right there to gain access to that oxygen sensor. It sounds amazing. So we just got the car out of the muffler shop. We'll at least take it on the road here and see how it sounds. Sounds really, really good. Engine is so smooth. It tracks very straight. Let me drop it in a second. And it's idling and it sounds incredible. Now this car is absolutely filthy on the inside. I don't know how well it's gonna pick up on camera, but look at all this dust. Look at this. The whole car is like this, but what a blessing. No check engine lights. It runs so smooth, man. It's pouring rain right now, but I'll show you guys real quick what the outside's looking like. It hasn't changed too much from the last time I showed you guys, but the fact that it's running and it sounds so good is just a huge blessing. In the rain, actually, it doesn't look too bad. We're having lots and lots of troubles with closing the hood. So it takes like a solid 5 to 10 minutes to close this, because I think what happened is the latch or the hood itself, since it got pushed back from here in this portion, it makes it very difficult to close that. So it spent like an exuberant amount of time trying to close that thing. Coming out the muffler, no issues there. Beautiful. So we're not done with this one. It's still got a little ways to go. But in terms of just the drivetrain itself, it sounds and feels amazing. I mean, even if I just give it a little, it sounds like a stock car. And that's the goal with this. Don't want to go too crazy with it. Maybe we could do a catback or something like that if it makes sense. But I think for right now, It's more just focused on bringing it back to what it once was, at least before it got stolen. And I don't know how accurate it's gonna be in terms of keeping everything genuinely original. We did use a universal cat on this setup, but since we have everything welded up, we just want this to be functional to a certain degree. So, I don't know, maybe people are gonna be opinionated about the way that we approach this, but I think in this case, a cat is better than no cat. So, there's a lot that we have to do now. The car is even more filthy. I think we'll spend some time here, maybe starting to at least give this thing a good wash for the very first time, and then we can kind of assess what bodywork needs to be done, and then we can kind of take things from there. But the fact that I'm sitting in this car right now, and it's running and driving, and you can totally hit the streets in this, I think is a really good step. The ignition though is very, very sad. So this is also something that's gonna be on the to-do list. I have some ideas. I was thinking either replace this whole assembly on its own, or we can go the route of maybe doing something aftermarket like a Jordan distributor's ghost key, which would be a really awesome addition to this car. So stay tuned for that. Got some more stuff on the way with this, as well as all the other cars on the channel. I really appreciate you guys stopping by to check out this video. But I think with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.